This week's episode of The Two Mechanics is sponsored by Tool USA.
Over the years, Kenny and I have worked with some of the best technicians, engineers, race teams and workshops in the world. One thing we've learned is that great technicians still need great tools. Tool USA is bringing professional diagnostic, service and maintenance and equipment to technicians and shop owners who want to work smarter, faster and more efficient. What stands out to me is the breadth of their product line. They bring solutions across the entire workshop. Whether you're diagnosing problems, servicing vehicles or improving workflow, they're developing products designed to help technicians get the job done. For more information, please visit alltoolusa.com.
Episode 31, Silverstone.
Anyway, so it got so late, early, not late. It got to the morning and Peter Collins, team manager, is coming down the stairs for breakfast and we're still in the bar. So we had to hide behind the bar and go and leave on all fours to get back to our room so we could get showered.
Welcome to the Two Mechanics podcast. Kenny Handkammer and Mark Grain have 18 Formula One World Championships between them, have been in the Guinness Book of World Records twice. They have over 30 years of motorsport stories between them, not to mention the 40,000 beers. Cheers. What you say?
So, Mark, what we're saying?
What are we saying?
Silverstone.
Yeah.
We've got a bit of experience there.
Just a few times. I've been a few times to Silverstone. Yeah. Well, it was a sprint race weekend as well, wasn't it? As well as the Grand Prix itself.
Yeah.
I don't all the way through limited practice sessions and so on, leading up to the sprint. And for me, the sprint result wasn't any surprise. We'll talk about the Grand Prix in a minute, but I don't know what you thought to the sprint, Kenny.
I thought it's what we all expected. Good for Antonelli. It's just still showing how good he is, Unfortunately, it didn't go his way in the race, but yes, I thought it was pretty much what you'd expect.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of sprint races, to be honest.
No, me neither. I've got to be, I'm the same. I think you're right. I think that Kimi had outstanding pace, and the only people who were going to trouble him were Ferrari. Seems that George couldn't trouble his teammate this weekend, and again we'll talk about the Grand Prix in a moment, but that's what it looked like for me all the way through practice, the sprint and the qualifying sessions leading up to the Grand Prix. Well, obviously it didn't work out for him in the Grand Prix and in the feature race. But again, what did you reckon of that? What did you reckon to the feature race, the British Grand Prix?
Mixed bag. I think there seems to be a bit of a theme this year. I always, by the time it gets to lap 10 or 15, it seems to get a bit dull, and I kind of get a bit switched off. Maybe it's my attention span, but it seemed to get pretty flat from like lap 9 to probably lap 29.
Yeah.
Before things got lively again, and we had a little bit of good racing, but it didn't last long enough again, which happened in a previous race between Max, Lewis, and Russell. It wouldn't be great to see that longer battle, but I don't think the way the regulations are, the way that you have to, it takes X amount of time to get your energy back into the car so you can have another go. It's not, not something that the driver can handle, right? Because he has to almost slip back a couple of, a certain amount of time before he can have another go. But when they're all together and they've all got the same amount of power, it's actually quite interesting.
Yeah.
But I think still, as I think you'll agree, still a lot of, I call it fake overtaking, because the deployment so much, it's got so much power when you put it down. It's
Cards on the table. I was very disappointed by the whole thing, right? And it's a shame because on Thursday I was at Silverstone and I was with Stuart Pringle, who's the CEO of the BRDC and therefore the CEO of Silverstone. And we'll come on to that in a minute. But
rubbing shoulders with the bigwigs, right?
Oh, you know me. And I just thought I thought it was a dull race, and this is dear to my heart, dear to your heart, the British Grand Prix. We want it to be the best on the calendar, and I think as an organisation and what they do for the fans and so on, it pretty much is. But that race, that circuit, those people, those fans deserved more than that Grand Prix. I think when you're talking about those overtakes, Ken, I agree completely. We started out this week's podcast with talking about, we are making a joke about how many times you and I have been to Silverstone and how many times we worked at the Grand Prix and all the rest of it. And it goes back for forever, when when they were ride-on mechanics and
Literally.
or the cars were pulled by horses, right? So we we go back a bit. So I've seen great overtakes at Silverstone. I saw them even before I was, when I was watching it on TV when I was a kid. I've seen great overtakes at Silverstone. For me, the overtakes I saw today were all to do with the regulations and the technical regulations for these cars. You've got the best drivers in the world still, and there's it's not like there's zero skill involved. Of course, that's not the case, but the overtakes I saw going into Cops and then all the way through the Maggots and Beckett section, those were such big challenges. And to see it swapping and changing like that, it felt to me like the car was playing a bigger part in that than it was driver skill. But so
Yeah, it is a technology race, isn't it?
it it,
Basically.
it seemed to be today, whereas Silverstone, you ask those drivers on that grid, and you ask drivers from way back, Christ, Silverstone used to be a challenge. You needed big balls to go through Cops Flat, and what you do through that, the coming onto the back straight after I say Maggots and Beckett's, that was all big ball stuff, and don't
I
know.
remember I remember being stood at Club Corner with my brother Harry. And that was the first time it was obviously before the track changed. Keke Rosberg done the first average lap of 160 miles an
That's
hour,
right. Yeah.
and he went through Club Flat.
Yeah.
Um,
Think about
yes,
that for a minute.
different,
And think
different,
about the car. Think about the
different,
tire technology. It is just incredible, eh?
100%, 100%. But anyway, that were those days. We're not in those anymore.
No,
Just a game,
absolutely. This is all
but
about today.
and yeah, it's iconic. It was 100 years today, wasn't it? This year. Um,
Oh,
no, sorry,
what?
50 years.
50 years. Yeah,
Silverstone.
we're the first, the first modern Grand Prix was 1950, and it was at Silverstone, and it's got all of that. It's got all of that heritage that's going with it, and that location and that venue, and again, just spending time talking to a few of us with Stuart Pringle back on Thursday. That all really came back to mind. That they are the British Grand Prix is one of only three races that's self-promoting on the calendar. All of the Grand Prix rely on government money to invest in them and all the rest of it. But Silverstone is a standalone event. It gets no money from the British government, um, and it has to do all of that work and everything by itself. He was an interesting, well, maybe interesting. They have to find 600 double-decker buses each year. And he just looked at us and said, where would you begin to find 600 double-decker buses? That's what they have to get. They have to pull them from Scotland
Wow.
and Cornwall and all over, just for that, to ferry people in and out campsites and off-site parking and all the rest of it. The
So if you're
stat,
waiting for a bus that week, you're on for a long wait.
yeah,
From
exactly.
Thursday onwards.
The stat was flashed up on the TV, wasn't it?
If you're anywhere else in the country and you want a bus, it's going to be a long wait.
574,000 fans they've welcomed over this weekend to Silverstone, and they
Yes.
were given that race, and then at the end, it just got worse.
And
Now,
nobody wants to see a race finish on a behind the
yeah, the
pace
safety
car,
car. No,
safety car. So that is, and I don't understand why. I think
no,
Verstappen's car was
recovered.
out of the way, recovered.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll talk about his accident in a minute. I don't understand that. That's a horrible way to finish a race. And wouldn't it be nice to have one or two laps at the end, with
Yep.
Hamilton on soft tyres, um, George on used tyres. Uh,
Absolutely. You know,
it's
w-
that would have been
uh,
an exciting finish.
as always, we're hot off the press, right? So
Yeah,
for anybody watching this, we as soon as the flag drops at the end of the race, we start this podcast. Um, so at the moment, there is no news on why we didn't get at least one lap at the end with Max's car cleared and out of the way. Why the race director chose to um, not give us that one final lap. Still would have been not great, but at least it would have been a one lap sprint to the end with cars with soft tires and battery packs full of energy, and it would have been something of a fitting end to a British Grand Prix with all
yeah,
of that crowd there. So it's a disappointment. Now at the moment, like I say, we've got no news as to why that didn't happen. And always safety first, for sure. You don't want to put anybody at risk. You don't want to put any of the drivers at risk or the crowd or the marshals or anybody at risk. So, but it's just a shame when you get a situation like that, and just a shame for Stewart and his team there at Silverstone. The well, the planning that goes into it. They're already working on next year and the year after that and so on, because it just takes so
yeah,
long. Just a shame for everybody there, really. I
yeah.
don't,
We had the first safety and yellow or so forth because there was an umbrella on the grass. I don't
yes,
know
it
if
was, yeah.
that I don't know if that really warranted, having to.
Well, you know what it's like,
It's,
and in
it's,
the
it,
moment you don't do anything about it, it's gonna get caught, gonna get another gust of wind, and it gets stuck in somebody's
yeah,
halo, doesn't it? And
yeah,
then you next thing,
but as a marshal stood next to it, so he's just gonna pick it up and lob it. Anyway, that's just me. I mean, I know safety comes first, but it's an umbrella, really. And
maybe
it
it's
wasn't
Mary
even raining.
Poppins, who knows? Yeah,
Yeah,
and then of course Max's incident that looked very strange. That looked to me like a characteristic of these cars. I don't put that down a driver error. I've watched that. I watched that live and then the replays, and then I've watched another replay of it again myself and really slowed it down. For me, it looked like the way that the aero reattached really unbalanced the car, and it made so the car's coming round on him. He corrects the car, but then the front really grips and bites, and I that's it's
I think we've spoken about this
I'm
before.
I
Yeah,
state right now that's not a Max error. That was a
no.
car error. Something's gone on. Weird's gone on there.
Yeah, and I think his comment afterwards was clear that it was the car, right?
Yeah.
But we spoke about this when these first regulations came out early on in the year.
Yep.
Having that to be done automatically, it should be driver controlled. It shouldn't be down to it opens and shuts, by sensors. For me,
Hmm.
it should be, in my eyes, I think it should be driver
Something
that
strange.
operates all of that. And that would probably show you a little bit more driver skill and how he handles that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's definitely been the cause of the accident. We'll probably know more about that soon. But
Yep.
yeah, it was a mediocre race in my eyes, and sad to see it finish on a pace car.
Under the safety car, yeah.
Yeah, safety car. So yeah, I mean, what much more do you want to say? I mean, um,
I don't think there's much. Um, I would commend Kimmy. He had a car problem that was obviously, meaning a massive understeer. He was going off all the time, and I liked his balls in that situation, and the way he was like, "Let's keep going, let's keep going."
yeah,
They were thinking about getting a point. Now they finished outside of the points in the end because of that very late safety car, but.
yeah, but
When you've got a
getting a five
car that's
second,
behaving like that, to have the minerals to say, what do you want me to do? I can keep driving it. Let's try and keep going. Coming in, the guys ripping that section of what looked to be like an inboard uh, uh,
like,
part of the brake duct, but less to do with brake cooling and more to do with aeroflow. It
yeah,
looked like to me, and I think that came back. and then that really upset the balance of the car and lost him loads of points of downforce.
And I'm surprised they didn't spot that on the first pit stop he came in to do that, because I know
Yeah, I don't.
in my day we had if we had any issue like that at all, we all had certain jobs to do, right? So there'll be somebody checking the barge boards, somebody checking the
Yeah,
front
yeah,
brake
yeah.
ducts, touching. Yeah, we know it's a longer stop, but if you can solve the problem there and then and pick up on it, so I think for me the pit stop was bit slapdash. If you've got a problem with the car, safety critical. What you do is as you know, we all each mechanic, one would take the wheel off. The guys
Yep.
that normally put it back on wouldn't put it back on, and they'd look around all the suspension, brake ducts, do a visual inspection, pulling on stuff, and that should have been spotted in my eyes. But you know,
Yep.
that was me in a heyday and you in a heyday. So I think that should have been spotted. Don't think it would have made much difference because they were tied the car anyway, but I think they could have done more. Um,
Over the years, Kenny and I have worked with some of the best technicians, engineers, race teams, and workshops in the world. One thing we've learned is that great technicians still need great tools. All Tool USA is bringing professional diagnostic, service and maintenance and equipment to technicians and shop owners who want to work smarter, faster and more efficient. What stands out to me is the breadth of their product line. They bring solutions across the entire workshop. Whether you're diagnosing problems, servicing vehicles or improving workflow, they're developing products designed to help technicians get the job done. For more information, please visit alltoolusa.com.
on that note, let's talk about the rest of the field. I mean, where's McLaren at, you think? I mean, I know they've
Yeah,
got an upgrade coming for Budapest, I'm told, but I mean, you know, a bit nowhere really.
couple of races now. They've been. I was actually going to say off colour, and of course,
They have.
weekend they really were off colour, weren't they? They were white and green. You know, and I remember my old boss, Dave Ryan, um, who was sporting director at McLaren for many years. Dave wouldn't have any green on the racing car. Don't have green, get it off. Not on there. Why is that
Right.
green? Get it off. Unlucky. Hated it. Would not let you have anything green anywhere about.
British Racing Green. I thought that would be
Yeah,
in,
yeah. Well, yeah, that tells the story though, doesn't it?
probably.
So so anyway, yeah, they've
A
been
bit
out of
lost.
sorts. They've been out of sorts. They never look like they're in pace all the way from Friday. Not proper pace. They're in that 6, 7, 8 position, which is really where they were. I think obviously other cars failing today and mix up at the end with the safety car meant that Lando finished fourth, I think. Um,
Yolanda was forfeit, but Oscar was 11th. He didn't even get a point.
yeah, he had that damage at the start, and
Yeah,
they just don't see it. So they need an upgrade. They need an upgrade to get back on par. You've got Ferrari and Mercedes-Benz stretching their legs a little bit up the front, and also your old team, Red Bull, their
yeah.
upgrades seem to be delivering.
Yeah,
Is what
Hadjar
I would
has
say.
had a good weekend all weekend. Out qualified
Yeah,
Max. Got fifth place. Part of that's because of Max not finishing, but generally he seems to be the most challenging um, for Max
yeah,
as a driver.
without question.
We've seen
I
for
was I was reminded, it's not exactly the same, but I was reminded this weekend when I was seeing what Hajar was doing. I was reminded of that 1993, I think it was, wasn't it, with at Estoril, Portugal, with when Mika out qualified Ayrton, and
yeah.
kind of that made Ayrton look around and I'd take a good hard look at what was going on there, and not exactly the same set of circumstances, but yeah, for sure, I thought that was he's Hajar's just that's pretty cool. Yeah, I've stated on the record on this podcast, I really like Hajar. I've liked him for a
Yeah,
little while now. I like his approach. Um, he's just, yeah, he's got some energy and some spirit about him, and obviously fast. So yeah, I was pleased about that. Just a shame he couldn't have finished a little bit higher up today, actually. And I think if we hadn't been robbed of those last 4 laps with what I think there's, the safety car and maybe the safety car running too long has robbed us,
Yeah.
robbed Isaac of a chance of getting past Lando and getting up there.
So that gets me on to, I think, well, I'm at with best of the rest seems to be VCarb. I mean, the
Yeah,
last few races, that both cars qualifying in the top 10,
yep,
both and scoring points.
absolutely.
Great effort from our old chum Alan Permain
Alan,
back,
again, yeah,
who was on the show a few weeks ago.
yeah,
But yes, I've never seen that team as strong as that since I don't know when, or maybe ever, to be consistently in the top
yeah,
10. People will go, yeah, that's the Minardi team. Obviously, it's a lot different to that these days, but Red Bull did save them. Uh, but yeah, they seem to the drivers are pretty equal speed wise, and I think that
It's obviously it's obviously clearly a well balanced car. Two
yeah,
drivers are thriving in that environment. So the engineering
drivable.
environment
Yeah,
and the sporting environment is obviously working well for those two drivers. Um, and also, yes, it's clear that they've designed a great race car that's able to trouble Q3 regularly now.
yeah,
And finally, as we mentioned before, what's gone on at Milton Keynes with the powertrains division, in
yeah.
unison with Ford. That's pretty impressive. That really is. The fact that it was nowhere 4 years ago, it was nothing. And
Yeah.
these other engine manufacturers have been going for years and years and years. You know,
Exactly, and also Alan Permain has stepped up fantastically from
yeah, yeah.
you know being on a technical side now to being the team principal
In
seems
Bristol.
to have taken
Yeah,
that role in ease, to be honest, and doing
yeah.
a pretty good job. And do you think that's something because he used to be an engineer do you think that's an advantage rather than it was unheard of a few years ago that an engineer would be team principal. It was always a sort of managerial type role rather than a technical role.
I think out of most of the team principals we've got that have crossed over from being an engineer. I think when you talk about Alan, Alan held sporting roles as well, operational roles.
Yeah,
So
director roles, yeah.
yeah, sporting director and so on. So that's involved in a lot more with the, oh, race team operations, logistics, freight, all that
Yeah,
endless stuff. So actually, out of all the engineers that are currently team principals, I would say Alan's one with a very broad knowledge base to work from and speak from. So probably works really well for him, I would suggest.
yeah. No, so that's good. So we're going to move on to some IndyCar
Well,
gossip.
yeah, we got an IndyCar race, and again, where we're at with timing, it's actually going to take place after we've recorded this. But so IndyCar is at Mid Ohio. Qualifying has been and gone, and actually McLaren have finished first and second on the grid, ready ahead of the race. But interestingly, I've heard, and I don't know if it's been confirmed now in the press, but for me, it's a done deal that Christian Lundgaard, who's on pole today for McLaren, and Nolan Siegel, who's further down the order, admittedly, are going to be replaced by Scott Dixon, who's we all know he's leaving. That's confirmed. He's leaving. He's leaving. Chip Ganassi. So
Yeah,
Scott's going to McLaren. But the one that was a bit of a shock for me is my old mate Felix, Indy 500 winner, is going to be leaving Meyer Shanks, again confirmed, but he's going back to McLaren. And I think that's the one that's catching everybody unawares. Um, this is what I've been told. I don't know if the press announcement is out there yet. It's all official, but I was told that this is
this,
definitely happening. So there
this
we
is where
go.
you've heard it first.
Yeah, but but again, I think it's I don't know. McLaren kind of chasing their tail a little bit. They've got I'm just getting the
Are you shocked
I've
by
just got the
Scott leaving? Do you think?
I thought he might have finished his career and called it a day. Once he'd finished with driving for Chip, then I thought he'd call it a day, maybe do some sports car racing or something like that, but not go to another IndyCar team. So I am a little bit surprised he's going to McLaren. Maybe the tugging at the old heartstrings. He's a Kiwi and he gets to drive for McLaren, which of course Bruce was a Kiwi. So
Of course,
so
yeah.
there's might be some emotional link to it. They
Yeah,
could
it's
always
15.
there's always the who knows what the cash offer was as well when
Of
talking
this.
about emotion.
We know it's going to be quite substantial.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
59 race wins, I believe, isn't it? And six
yeah,
championships.
something like that. It's
Yeah.
incredible record. A really good guy and a
Solid,
fantastic
yeah.
race car driver. Yeah, but he's just a really good guy. But but like I say, I mean, we've still got the race to go yet. But assuming that my source is correct and Christian Lundgaard's going to be leaving McLaren, that announcement's going to be made just as he's on pole today for the race. So all a bit all a bit strange there, some of those decisions, but anyway.
Yeah, especially winning the 500, you would have thought.
Getting Felix back is great, but why did you let Felix go? For
Yeah.
example, yeah, so anyway, it's kind of all part of the merry-go-round that is motor racing, isn't it? So we shall see. Um, and yeah, hopefully that's going to be a good race out in Mid-Ohio. Like I say, that's going to be after that we've concluded this podcast. But so that's that one. Um,
Um,
yeah, go on.
I was going to say that we're not going to announce his name, but we've got a very special guest coming on next week.
Oh yes, yes, yes.
Ex ex Formula One driver, ex IndyCar
Yep,
driver. We're very excited about that. So listen in next week,
yep.
and you're he is a bit of a legend, and by George, he's had some accidents.
So um, yeah, that brings us on to rearview mirrors then, Ken. What have you got for the British Grand Prix? Silverstone.
Yeah, but that was one of my first races. I think I helped out part time in Paul Ricard first, and then I was asked to. At the time, it was 1989. We had an 89 car at Silverstone for Nannini, and we had two 88 cars for Johnny Herbert. So I was the spare mechanic, the spare car, right?
Yeah.
And so you can imagine, I was green as hell, and John Moulton, aka Murph,
Murph.
very famous legend in F1. We all say they're legends, but Murph was, God bless his soul. Uh, Actually, he was team manager at Minardi, wasn't he? I think that's where
Yeah.
he ended up. He took me under his wing, started calling me Uncle Ken for some strange reason. Anyway, long story short, we're staying in a Littlebury in Bicester, where we always used to stay. Very family little pub, right, little guest houses, and he just wouldn't let me go to bed that night. He just kept me in the bar. And you know what Murph's like is when he gets going, he's got a way of manipulating you. You couldn't move, right, unless he gave it the green light. Anyway, so it got so late, not early, not late. It got to the morning, and Peter Collins, team manager, is coming down the stairs for breakfast, and we're still in the bar. So we had to hide behind the bar and go and leave on all fours to get back to our room so we could get showered and get the bus ready to go. So that was one of my memories of Silverstone. Probably not my proudest moment, but when you've got your arm behind your back and you're talking about
Yeah.
John Moulton here. Yeah, it's exactly the same as you went through last week with Bacardi Bob.
Bob.
That was one of those things that obviously you wouldn't even think of doing these days. And what about you?
Absolutely not.
What about you?
Not my age.
What's your review for
Well,
Silverstone?
I'm going to go. It's not an amusing tale, but it's something that, like, and I might have mentioned it before on a previous podcast. The first British Grand Prix I worked at, I've been as a fan and everything. I've been taken to races when I was a kid. But the first one I worked at was 1989, and I was doing Formula Three. Nowhere near the giddy heights of Formula One, and we were a support race. And
Yeah, so we'd have been there at the same time.
yeah, for sure, yeah,
You'd
and
have just been in the horrible paddock.
yeah. Well, it was on the old the long airfield
You're going
runway
to go
in
across
the
the bridge,
middle.
didn't you, to get to it or not?
You could get your way into the pit
Oh
lane,
yeah, yeah, I remember
but
now. Yes,
yeah, but that's where we're under awnings. This is oh Christ, it just seems so long ago now.
but it
Um,
was.
the car the car that I was looking after, my driver was a Australian fella, and he was sponsored by Dryserbone. Um, Dryserbone, the
Yeah,
Australian
the coats.
coats and all that sort of stuff. Where yeah, where they
Yeah,
give you
yeah,
the umbrella. That's the
the
stuff.
big long raincoats and the hats
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
that's
Yeah,
it. And
wax
um,
jackets. Yeah,
and we'd done our race, but Bernie used to make us. We raced on the Saturday, but Bernie used to make us stay with the cars on display on the Sunday.
yeah,
So Saturday evening, and I was just wiping down the car just to leave it under the awning to just be on display for the Sunday. And I was cleaning the car, let down here, doing all that sort of stuff. And I heard this voice behind me in a slight Scouse accent. Oh, look at that, Dryserbone. Yeah, that's that Australian stuff. And I was like, oh, so somebody's taking notice of the car, you know.
yeah.
And I looked round, and it was George Harrison.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And he came over and he chatted. And by coincidence, long story, too long for now, but I actually got to meet him later on because of McLaren and the McLaren F1
Yeah, so he used to
GTR and
come to
all
quite
that.
a lot of races, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. And George, of course, was a huge Formula One fan
Because
and
originally he used to turn up to watch James Hunt and Barry Sheen, didn't he?
yes,
Barry
yes,
on bikes
yeah.
and I've seen pictures of all three of them hanging out together, and I can imagine that was a bit of a rave back then with those three together.
But if you can imagine, for me being a kid,
Yeah,
and this is my first British Grand Prix to be working at, you know, and and then I turn around and there's a beetle, and he's come over and he's having a little chat with me. I was just,
fantastic.
yeah, it blew all the fuses. It was incredible. So that's one of my best memories of the British Grand Prix, I've got to say.
Yeah, well, it's definitely a dull one this week.
Yeah, won it just. Which
Um,
which talking of which, that brings us on to whose round is it?
Okay, Jen, move down. Closing time. Whose round is it?
for me,
Yeah.
it'd have to be if it's a regulation issue that Max's car went off, it's whoever's come up with that regulation, which in my mind would be Nick the Greek from the FIA.
Nick took
And
over.
yeah, one of the few technical people we had that used to lay in a gravel trap while he was testing with a camera, completely insane. But anyway, that's for another time. Another time, where's the car going to go? It's going to go and hit you. Um,
It's gonna run right over it.
yeah, so I'd put it down. If it's down to Nick's buying a beers.
Yeah, okay. This is a very difficult choice for me. I thought I knew what I was going to go for. I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Arguably, if that safety car could have come in and left us one lap of racing, and at the moment we still don't know why. This is why this is why I can't go for this definitely. At the moment, emotionally, I want to say the race director owes the entire Silverstone crowd and Stuart Pringle and all of his team who spend years arranging this race.
And us.
And us, yeah, and all the TV fans, TV view, yeah, exactly. All the fans watching on
Yeah.
TV. The race director owes us all a beer, right? But we don't know. But right now, we still don't know
Let's
why.
confirm that next week because
Correct.
that's hell of a round that is.
Yeah. So I'm going to go for, and I think Martin Brundle's with me on this one. I'm going to go for whoever designed the McLaren livery for this race, that green and white. they owe all the McLaren fans a beer, I think, because it it just
Yeah, I mean,
it didn't do anything for me. I thought it looked awful, but
yeah, we've had a
Dave
few.
Ryan would agree with me. No green on the car, so
Yeah, there's too much white on it as well, wasn't there? I thought
yeah, it's a bit weird.
if that's one of those AI things, or you could blame someone can blame AI for it, but whoever's approved it, I agree that's it was quite nasty. Let's hope
Yeah,
we
I think that
hope we don't see that again.
they owe a beer. Livery designer at McLaren owes all the McLaren fans a beer.
Yeah, because you had the same issue with their team kit this year as well, didn't you? When they look
Well,
like a
well,
Frosty's
again, yeah,
packet,
yeah. I mean, it was. They made them all
came up
look
looking like a
like tiger
tiger.
came to tea. Sounds like I'm picking on McLaren, but I'm really not. I just it just keeps cropping up. I mean, don't forget, I did say the Mercedes overalls were awful, weren't they? Like look like
Yeah.
yeah, like look like painters overalls, didn't it? With all splashed up.
Yeah, no, I agree. So, on that note, thanks to all of our listeners, subscribers. Please keep subscribing, listening. Please comment. Please ask questions. And like I said, we're looking forward to another special guest next week.
Yeah.
And thanks again to our new part of our new team, Ari,
All right. Yeah.
Chris, and Nichole for supporting and basically fixing all of our mistakes.
And from me, very finally, congratulations to the Formula E team for their very first win, and Mark Preston. So congratulations to those guys. And finally, a dear friend of mine and Kenny's, Indy Lal, who's been a stalwart of McLaren for many, many years. This today marks his retirement. So
Yeah.
Indy, we wish you the very best and a long and happy retirement, mate. Well deserved.
And my last,
And thank you
my
all
last,
for tuning in.
sorry, my last chip in will be happy birthday for Sebastian Vettel 2 days ago,
Oh yes.
who is obviously a good friend of mine. Thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
everybody, and we'll see you next week.
This week's episode of The Two Mechanics is sponsored by R-Tool USA.